All right, so we had talked about some of the GoGuardian basics, and I said I was going to do a part two on scenes to become a little bit more specific on how scenes work. So I want to spend a little bit of time on that. So you can see I'm in my GoGuardian website, GoGuardian Teacher. I've got my classrooms that are up here. Remember, when you add a classroom, you can just pull it in from Google, add a Google Classroom, since we're all using Google. And we have scenes, and this is where I can set up things basically to direct kids to do what I want, okay? So I'm going to show you here some more specific on scenes. I'm going to add a scene, and I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to call this one normal because this is going to be my normal scene. I'm going to change the pattern to waves because I'm a beach person, and I'm going to put this runs all the time in background. This is my scene that's going to run all the time. Okay, now I can come in. I'm going to leave it in allow mode because I don't want to block the kids most of the time. I want them to be able to go to certain things, and I'm going to choose what they can't go to by listing it here. Okay, so this is kind of, I want kids to do research. I want them to get on and watch a help video. I want them to be able to get to different things. I'm going to leave it in allow mode, and I'm going to put what I want blocked. Now, after doing middle school for a number of years, I know slither.io is a huge website that kids try to go to. So I'm going to block that particular site right off the bat. That's a game site. If you haven't been there, it is a fun little worm game that kids like. I'm going to block that site. Okay, I don't want them going there. So they can go anywhere but slither.io right now. They try to go there, it's going to block them. Now, kids are smart, especially your older kids. They know how to get around. There are about 12 different game sites that'll launch slither.io. So this will block their direct path, but there are some other paths. And like I told you before, we want to let kids do the work. So anytime you run a session, you can go in and look at student reports, see where they were, and then find the websites that they were going to during the day that you don't want them to go to, and you can then enter them here and just keep adding it. So other game sites. Now, I'm not a huge fan of cool math games. I just think they're mainly games, not really math games. So I'm going to put that in there, and I don't want them going there. I tell them, no, that's not a website you're going to. There's other math websites I'd rather have you go to and give them those websites, okay? I also want to block, after teaching middle school for a long time, play.google.com. This is where they go to launch all their music and stuff. So I'm going to block that site. So right now, if I were to activate the scene, they couldn't go to slither.io, they couldn't go to Cool Math Games, and they couldn't go to Google Play. Now, there is a big problem with Google Play. This will stop them from going to play.google.com, but if they have a direct link to an album or a song, that direct link will still work because it's not addressed as play.google.com. So I'm going to remove this, and we're going to do it differently. And it's called wildcarding. Wildcarding uses stars to basically tell the computer anything before this part and anything after this part, and that includes that middle part, block it all. So I'm going to put a star shift 8 play.google.com and a shift star again. That means that anything, it could have anything before it, like Beyonce.com, play.google.com, and something after it, and it's still going to block it. It blocks anything that has this in it. And it could have something before it, something after it. It's going to block all of it. That's what's called wildcarding. You do have to be very careful with wildcarding, because if I didn't put play here, it would block everything with google.com, and that's a problem. Okay? So you have to be careful with wildcarding. So if you do add a wildcard and the kids start calling you going, oh my God, I can't get anywhere, it's blocking everything, just remove it. Say, I'm sorry, my fault. Let me get that out of there. Okay? So I'm going to add this in here. And again, if there was a problem, I can remove it. So that's one of the things that I do when I'm building a scene list, is I will do things. Sometimes it takes me several days to get the whole scene list. I will go through and put in a couple things, activate it, and then see if the kids tell me they have a problem. Now, if a kid calls me and says, I can't get to slither.io, I'll be like, well, that's too bad. You're not supposed to go there. If they say, though, it's blocking them from Google Classroom, then something I've done is a problem, and I want to remove it and figure out how to do it exactly. And when you get to that, if you run into that problem, contact one of your ed tech coaches, talk to your site tech coach, see if anybody has ideas. They can look at this and see if we can figure out exactly what you need to do. Now, that being said, realize that some things require multiple sites to go through, because there's a login portion, different things that have happened. And if you don't set it up correctly, it won't work correctly. So building a scene can sometimes take a little time, and it can be a little complicated. But here you can see I've got the scene. It's called normal. It's going to run in the background all the time. And right now it's blocking Slither.io, cool math games, and anything that has play.google.com in it because I wildcarded it. Okay. Also remember that the district filtering is still running, so all the inappropriate sites are being blocked by the district, and that. But I know that these kids can get to, and I don't want them to. Okay, as a teacher, those would be sites I wouldn't want my kids to go to. I can auto open a tab, so if I want them when I start the scene or when they come in to go to classroom.google.com, I can add that tab, and that's going to automatically open when they open up their Chrome browser. It's going to take them right to Google Classroom. That's going to be an open tab. I can also set a maximum open number of tabs. Now, I say that, and sometimes teachers jump right in and go, yeah, I only want the kids to have 2 open tabs, which sounds great, but there's some things that kids do require 3 or 4 tabs. Some of the sites actually have 3 tabs that they go through to open to work. So 3 would be a minimum. I usually tell teachers 4 is a good round operational number for your average scene. That allows, Google Classroom to be open, a couple other sites to be open, and maybe 1 for them to do research or something like that. Okay, so 4 is a good maximum number of open tabs. Okay, so I've got this scene built. It is in allow mode, so they can go everywhere except for these 3 sites. I'm pushing out Google Classroom, 4 tabs, and I'm going to save that scene. So now I have this scene that I can apply to any of my classrooms. So I'm going to come back into my classroom, and I have this classroom right here that I have a student in, my test student, and I'm going to come into my settings, and I'm going to make this scheduled so that it'll run almost all day. Okay, so I'm going to come in and say I want this to start at 5 a.m. That's my start time, 5 a.m. I'm going to say, okay. I want it to end at 12 o'clock p.m. You got to get that space in there. Why did that go to 7? I didn't want 7. 12 o'clock p.m. And I'm going to say, okay. Really? Don't be grumpy with me. I'll do 11 o'clock a.m. then. 11 o'clock a.m. And I want this to run, going past the exceeded time. So you'll get that message. It'll only go for 8 hours. Well, that's only 6 hours. Why is it doing that? It's not seeing something right. 5 o'clock a.m. to 10 o'clock a.m. That's only 5 hours. So I don't know why it's saying I'm exceeding. Let me try 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Okay, that's working. So let's try 8 a.m. to 3 o'clock p.m. I did not say 10 p.m. I said 3 p.m. Okay, and now it's saying cannot exceed 8 hours. That is 8 hours. So something's going on. I'm going to have to contact GoGuardian and figure out something's going on. Maybe they did some updates that's messing with this. But you should be able to do it in 8-hour blocks. Let me try 2:59 p.m. Just to see. It might be something that I need to contact GoGuardian and say there's a problem. Okay, so apparently there's some issue that I'm gonna have to contact them and let it. It's supposed to be an 8-hour block that you're able to schedule in here, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. I think that's an 8-hour block, and then you can schedule it in. It did for some reason let me just put in. It might be confusing on the days for some reason, so I'm just gonna put 11 o'clock a.m. so I can continue this in for so you can see how this works. We're going from 8 to 11. And it's still not. So something's definitely up here. And then I can check every day. So I would say from 3 a.m. to like 10 a.m., from 10:01 to 4 p.m., from 4:01 to midnight or 11:59 p.m., and block them almost all day. This would run in the background. And again, something's going on with the program. It's not allowing that to schedule in right. And I just do that 7 days a week because the kids are going to have Chromebooks home. This doesn't need you to be on to be running. Okay. So I can set this in. Let me see if it'll just let me do 1 hour. I think that one worked, the 1 hour time period. 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Wow. Apparently, it's not going to let me do anything. Maybe restricted by administrator. So I got to figure out what's going on with that. So I'm going to, well, let me do 1 day. Nope. So something's going on we're going to have to fix on the ITS end or the GoGuardian end. We'll get that sorted for you. So here we've got, I'm going to add that session. I'm going to block it up so that kids cannot go to those sites. I'd add that schedule in, okay? And so then inside the classroom, coming back to my test classroom, and I apologize that that didn't work. It would have been nice to show you how that worked. I'm going to come into my test classroom, and I'm going to make this in the settings. Sorry, I'm like flustered because of that didn't work. The default scene is going to be my normal scene. That's the default scene, okay? So that's the one that's going to run all the time, and I'm going to update my classroom. So this is in settings, info within the classroom, putting on the normal scene, update classroom. And again, if I've scheduled it in the classroom, if I've added a schedule, it's letting me do their time. So we're just going to show you here. Let's see if I can put in a 3 o'clock p.m. Is that going to mess it up? Okay, that one worked. I don't know why. 8 to 3 p.m. I'm going to add that schedule. Maybe I had to apply the scene before it worked. So I've got from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. 7 days a week. And I can add another one so I can actually say, so now it's working. Maybe you had to put in 3 o'clock or 3:01 p.m. so it doesn't conflict with the other one, to 11:59 p.m. Now it's, oh, no, that one's not working again. So you can see, get the general idea. It's scheduled here. I can have multiple schedules since it won't exceed 8 hours and pretty much block them all day. I would start it at like 3 a.m. to 10 a.m., then 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., then 4 p.m. to 11:59 p.m. and then they're open from 12 to 3 a.m. I guess, and you can block that time as well if you want. But you can see that you've got the scheduled session. That means whether you're online with kids or not, they're blocked with this scene. Okay, so I've built that scene. I put it in here. I've updated the classroom. Okay, so in my test classroom here, if I go into settings, you'll see that the default scene is normal. It's scheduled from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Again, I would do it with them being home and them having access 24 hours. I'd block it more, but having trouble with that blocking for some reason. And then I can go in and I can modify that scene at any time. So if I come into my normal scene and I see the kids are using some other gaming site, I just see a ton of .ios. I'm going to wild card those and say, you know what? I don't want you to go to any of the IO sites. Now that's going to block all of the IO sites because there's a couple other ones, battle tanks and other things the kids play. And I can just block them all that way. Okay. And again, I can get them off the student reports and cut and paste the ones that they go to that I don't want them to go to. Let the kids do the work for you. So anytime I update that scene, I just click update scene. And now when that's running, which should be all the time, it's good to go. Now, I can go into my classrooms. I've got this classroom here. And if I was in a session monitoring the students, here's my students, okay? You can see up here what scene is running. Right up here, this normal scene is running, okay? I can change scenes at any time in the middle of a session. That's important. So let's say you've got the kids online and you don't want the normal scene to run. You actually want a language arts scene to run or a math scene to run. or a scene you created just for that day. And I'll go back and show you what I mean by that. So I've got this scene set up, and I'm like, oh, nope, we're switching. I've got a testing scene. It's just for testing time. I'm going to click that. And now you'll notice the testing scene is running, not the normal scene. And I can flip it back at any time. Now the normal scene is running. That allows you to switch between scenes to accomplish what you want to do. Let's say you have a math scene, and that scene allows them to only go to certain math sites. You run it during math time when you have them online for that 45 minutes, something they're supposed to do, and that will allow them to only go to specific sites, okay? So I'm going to come back into scenes. You can see how I changed that there. And again, you can put no scene for a certain time period, okay? I'm going to come back into scenes, and I'm going to create another one. I have this normal scene here. Now I'm going to add another scene. This scene is not going to be a loud mode scene. This is going to be a blocked mode scene, okay? So I'm going to call this one language arts. And I'm going to say this is for language arts time. In this scene, I'm going to have it blocked except where I want them to go. Okay, now I want them to be able to go to ClassLink. So I'm going to click this list right here. I'm going to say add that list. You'll notice this ClassLink list is now added. If you click on this, it'll show you the 3 sites that ClassLink needs to operate. Okay, that means the kids can go to ClassLink. They'll be able to get to ClassLink, see their things. Okay, I want them to be able to go to Houghton Mifflin. So I'm going to add that list. Okay, now you'll see there's 26 sites that Houghton Mifflin needs to operate. Okay, this is why I say building a block list can be very difficult, because some of them require a lot of different websites to make happen. Okay, but now my kids can go to ClassLink and Houghton Mifflin. Okay, if there's other language arts sites, let's say that I wanted them to be able to play Kahoot, because I do that during language arts time, I can add that list in. These are lists that are already created. Okay, and if there's other websites I want them to be able to go to, I'm going to put that in there. Okay, so I want them to be able to go to docs.google.com. I'm going to wildcard that. Anything with docs.google.com is approved. And I want them to be able to go to classroom.google.com. I'm going to wildcard that. Anything with, if I can spell, classroom, add site. Now they can get to docs and classroom, because that would definitely be part of my language arts lessons, okay? And all the other websites during that time are going to be blocked. They cannot go to anything else. They'll get a blocked message. They can go to ClassLink, they can go to Houghton Mifflin, they go to Kahoots, they can go to Google Docs, they can go to Classroom. They can't go anywhere else, okay? Tab management, I want them to be able to go to Classroom to go to google.com. I'm going to push that out to them. And their minimum number of tabs for this one is 4. And then I can save that scene. And now I have a language arts scene. So I'm going to come back into my classroom, and let's pretend I'm teaching at that moment to those kids. I'm going into my session. Remember, my session's running automatically because I had the scene, the normal scene running. Okay, I had switched it to no scene. That's why that was off. There's 41 minutes remaining because it ends at 3 p.m. today. So 41 minutes remaining. I can add extended time. So if I was doing a shortened session, I can actually add 10 minutes or 30 minutes to it. And then I want to switch scenes now to that language arts scenes, because, hey, kids, we're moving to language arts. I'm going to switch you to language arts. Any tabs you have open at the moment are going to close, except for your ClassLink tab and your Google Classroom tab. Those two are allowed. Everything else is going to close. I'm switching now. And today we're going to be going to Houghton Mifflin to do an assignment. You should be able to get there, click on your class link, click on Houghton Mifflin, and we are good to go. Okay, there's an assignment for you inside Google Classroom with Houghton Mifflin that I want you to do. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about nouns today, or whatever your topic is. So you can see I switched that scene over. So you have allowed scenes, which lets them go anywhere except what you have listed, and you have blocked scenes, which allows them only to go to what you have listed. Everything else is blocked. Okay, now a great use of scenes, and again, I give this credit to a teacher at another school that came up with this, and I'm going to add this scene here, and I'm going to call this video scene. Okay, this is a scene that I might want to push out a video to a kid or class to watch a particular video, okay? And let's say we're doing a history lesson. I found a really cool ancient Egypt video. It's a 5-minute video on YouTube that talks about some things with ancient Egypt. I'm not going to put any allowed. I'm going to put that particular site right here. Okay. So give me a second. I'm going to grab a YouTube video. I'm going to put in ancient Egypt. And of course, I know you being the teacher, you've watched this video. You know it's perfect. You know it's appropriate. Here's an ancient Egypt 101 from National Geographic. It's what I want them to have. Oh, let me pause that. Don't need to have it running. I've got this going. It has been approved for the Lancaster School District. If it's not, there'll be a button here that says approve it. It means some other teacher has already found this one. I am going to copy the URL from up here, highlight it, copy it, come back into GoGuardian, and this is now my allowed site for the scene. We're going to watch this video today. That's allowed. Now, the kids will not know that scene unless I've linked it in Google Classroom, but I can come here and auto-open that tab. That tab is going to auto-open for them when I start the scene. And they're only allowed to have one tab open for this one. I only want them to watch this video for that 6 minutes. I do not want them to go and do anything else. I want them locked into this video. So currently in this scene, I'm in block mode. Their only allowed site is this, and I'm pushing it out. So as soon as I activate this scene, it's going to push out that thing, and it's going to close every other tab, and they're only allowed to have one tab, okay? I'm going to save this scene. Now, the reason I called it video scene is I might want to use that next week or 3 weeks later with something from ancient Rome. And instead of creating a new ancient Rome scene, I'm going to come back in here. I'm just going to change. I'm going to remove this one, put in the new video, okay? I'm going to remove this one, put in the new video, and then save it, update scene. And now I've got that ready to go for the Rome video I'm going to want them to watch. Anytime you use a video, it's my encouragement always to keep them short. Make sure you as the teacher watch them entirely all the way through to know that they're appropriate, because there are some YouTube videos that people create and throw things in the middle that changes the topic of the scene. So as a teacher, you should always watch that video all the way through. Yes, anyone who's been to my training, I always say that over and over again, just to make sure you understand that. Now I'm going to go back into my classroom. My test class is up here running a session, so I'm going to go into it. That's another way to get there. I can also get their classroom, test, go to session. I'm now in the session. If it's running, I can also get to it up here if I'm somewhere else. So if I'm in scene, I click here, I get back to my active session. I can see the kid's screen, and I want to come in and say, oh, hey, we're switching the language, social studies, and I've got this video I want you to watch today. I'm going to switch you up. It's now closed the tab that they were in, pushed out the video scene, and I'm going to tell them you have 6 minutes. Watch that video. We're going to be discussing it when it's done, and we're good to go. Okay. At any time, you can end session. Okay. Remember, though, if I've scheduled it, it's going to run in the background. Now, here's one of the keys, though. If I'm running with kids and I have that live session with that normal background, and I log off with kids, but I leave this running with that video scene, kids cannot go do anything else but that video. So it might be asynchronous time, and I forgot to go back to the normal scene. That's going to create a huge problem, okay? So you're going to have to be really conscious about, oh, our time is up. I'm going to put back on the normal scene so that you can work on stuff on your own. I know you're blocked from going to slither.io and battletanks.io. I apologize about that. You can do that on your own time, on your own device sometime later. Please make sure you get the rest of your assignments done today. They're in Google Classroom, and you are good to go. I don't end session because it's scheduled in there. I've just put them back here, okay? And now you can see anytime. That's kind of how scenes works, okay? Again, some other basic things, chat on and off tasks, alerts on and off, and you'll get those if kids move out or do something off task. It kind of gives you a thing. So that's the main thing on scenes there. Hopefully that helps you out. If you need help building one, need ideas, let us know. It might be difficult the first couple of weeks of school this year. We're probably going to be very busy, but as things rotate and things, we would be glad to help you get those scenes built. Or if you want a quick list that shows up when you're building a scene, email us, let us know what you want that quick list to be, and we'll try to get that built and in that quick list to help you create those scenes. So good luck. Let us know if you have any questions, and have fun with GoGuardian.